Hey guys, welcome to the Healing Our Industry podcast. So today we are taking a break from all of the heavy chat. We have decided that we wanted to set the intention where anytime we talk about some heavy shit, we break it up and have a little bit more fun in between, because it can be really hard to work through all the hard things back to back to back to back. And we want to bring the energy back up. So we thought it would be super fun to reflect on our weekend. We had our salon's open house this weekend, and it was so much fun. We had such a great turnout. And just wanted to talk about that. And then Nessa and I are going to do a Q&A with each other and ask each other a couple of questions. So I did not realize, and I know Nessa and I were just talking about this because obviously we're sisters. We're talking constantly, literally constantly, guys. So we were talking about it over the last couple of days, and I did not realize how much energetically this weekend was going to wipe me out. We were planning to get started recording this at 9:00, and it's almost 10:30. So and I slept guys, I do not sleep in. I'm up at 5:00 with Ben every single weekday, which if you're listening to our routine, then you've already heard all of that stuff. So, I'm up super early. Well, I slept until 8:30 today. Who am I? I don't even know. So, I had the Luna class at the beginning of last week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, got home Wednesday morning, started prepping for the open house, and then it's just been constant. So I think that my body is still recovering, but I better recover today because we have a client tomorrow and I got to get my shit together. So that is where we are at energetically. Nessa, how are you doing after this weekend in the open house?
Well, I just wanted to say that it's really interesting because you are now, you still are, but you are becoming more aligned, especially with your human design, in that as a projector for you need more time to rest. And so who are you? Well, you're Kim, a projector, and it's okay that you slept in until 8:30. Totally fine. No big deal, because with the energetic output, there should be time of also rest. So I just want to say, I'm so proud of you for just honoring that. Instead of just staying up at 5, you could have done that and then sludge through your day, but you're no, I needed rest. And I think that following up from the last 2 podcasts we talked about, where it was honor your energy. Thank you for showing us today that we can honor our energy.
Thank you. It's still something that I struggle with as a projector, is accepting that I need rest and being okay with it and making time for it, because the majority of the time I just feel guilty for needing to recharge my batteries, but that doesn't help the situation at all. It makes it worse. So it has really helped me to just give myself permission to rest. So any other fellow projectors and even generators, I know you guys still need to rest too. So, and then manifestors are the same. You guys have big spikes, but then you drop. So you have to kind of conserve your energy for the spike. And reflectors, Mani-gens barely need any downtime. I don't know how you guys do it. I'm sending you all the good vibes, but thank you for being understanding to the rest of us who do not operate like you. Reflectors, my husband is a reflector, and they just absorb everyone else's energy. So if they need more energy, they just got to get around people who are high energy. Ben's around me all the time, so he gets lots of rest in.
So to answer your question, how am I doing?
Yeah.
Well, to be quite honest, I'll be honest without sharing anybody else's story, but just mine. This past weekend was hard for me. I definitely went through another shedding of beliefs that no longer work for me. So a short way to say that is I was doing shadow work this weekend. So fun. So fun. However, I'm thankful that happened for me, because as we move forward in life, those old beliefs can't remain. And that's what was happening for me, is just a letting go of beliefs and habits and thoughts that no longer served me. So today we're doing a lot better. Usually after I get like a good night's rest, I feel better the next day after going through some hard emotional, like it was a teary time. It was like, get all the tissues out. We're going to need them. And that's okay, because this is part of the process. This is part of growth. And the law of polarity that I've learned from Catherine Zenkina, of like the lows, like to the depth, when you think about like, I don't know the word, like when I think of it in my mind, say that, what'd you say?
I have them, all the universal laws printed out just to the
Yes.
right of you, because you're at my desk. So if you need to
Yes.
reference it, you're welcome to do so.
Well, I was trying to give you like a visual image, but I don't know the word for it. So I'll just use my hands. So if you're on the YouTube page, follow along. If you're on the podcast and you're just listening to my words, I will do my best to explain what I'm doing. So like the law of polarity says that, you have lies and you have highs and you have lows. Yesterday was my low, and the opposite, like the equal to that, is also a high. Not necessarily in like everything's awesome, everything's good, but like a shift of like, when there's valleys, there's also mountains. And as we climb mountains in life of these hard things we go through, we will also see the top of that mountain. And so that's what yesterday was for me. Yesterday was like a low, and that's okay because it needed to happen. And so I recognized that after that release time, I slept really good last night. There have been times when I don't sleep that good, and that's really hard to function the next day. And so kind of like with what Kim was dealing with, of like, I need extra sleep, I have been working on giving myself more permission to sleep in when needed and to honor that. And if it is able to happen, make it happen. So looking forward into the week, I'm excited about the week. I'm ready for the week. Are you ready to dive into some questions, or do you have any other comments?
Yeah, I was going to just mention, because thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being open, honest, and vulnerable about your experience over this last weekend. And I'll be honest with all of the listeners, like I've been going through it too. Nessa and I have really been going through massive waves of shadow work. And I had a big wave of it when I was at the Luna class in California. And I'm not going to share any details because, that's still, I'm not going to talk about something I haven't healed from, but it was me. And I am learning to be okay with that. And I'm getting really good at apologizing. I feel like if there's one benefit to all the shadow work, like, and Nessa and I can both speak to this, because anytime we fuck up, we're like, hey, I am so sorry. I'm going to keep doing my best. I can't promise I'm going to get this right or I'm going to be perfect, but thank you for being patient with me and loving me, even when I'm not my best self. So I think that's a really good thing for us to talk about on the podcast, because we're all freaking human. We all mess up. We're all, we don't have our shit together all the time. And that's just part of being human. That's just part of life. So I think it takes massive balls to be able to apologize and to take ownership when you mess up and to try to make things right. So we have to be kind to ourselves throughout the process of that growth. And I think that's the hardest part of shadow work, is learning that us berating ourselves for processing something makes it worse and makes it take longer. But if we can just be kind to ourselves, we will actually like get out of it quicker and learn the lesson versus repeating that same cycle over and over again. So that was my
Yeah, thank you for saying that. That was very beautifully said. I would say that when we do have our apologies, it does not sound like I'm sorry. It's more of like, I am sorry, I fucked up. I recognize that. And then whatever comes from the heart, we speak from the heart, and then we hug it out and we take some time to breathe, and then we move on.
I think a lot of it comes back to allowing yourself to feel it. because my coping mechanism for forever has just been numbing out. So it's a very, very new thing for me to just feel in general. So giving myself permission to feel those lows and getting into empathy, like I have to understand and feel how I hurt that other person so that I can give a genuine apology. So I have to actually let myself feel that pain so that I can truly take ownership of the damage that I caused without berating myself and without like being mean to me. Like I still have to give myself grace and kindness for messing up in the process of feeling those feels in order to apologize. Like, guys, this shit's not easy. And I love how we started the podcast off with like, it's going to be a light one, guys. We're not going to talk about heavy shit. Everything's fine. And we're like, guys, we're in the death throes with our shadow work and it's really fucking hard. So,
but honestly, it feels really good to be able to make a lightheartedness from a place of healing of like, that was really hard. Yeah. And it was good. So on that note, let's just jump right into a Q&A.
There's no easy way to pivot out of shadow. No. We're just gonna start Q&A, guys.
Yeah. So
also, hold on. Before we pivot, I just want to say thank you to all of the listeners who came out to the open house. It was so cool meeting you guys, and like having a stranger tell you that they love your podcast is mind-blowing, and it's very humbling. And it was just such an honor to be able to meet all of you beautiful souls. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And we look forward to hanging out more with you guys in the future.
Honestly, my favorite part was being able to hang out in the back by the food. Like what I mentioned during our live was like hanging out by the food and like being able to try all the things of all our team that brought to the table. Like that brings me life because that stuff came from their hands. They put intention to purchase those things. They put intention in how to create that beautiful charcuterie table and all that. It was like artwork, and being able to participate in that is like feeling some of their energy, feeling of who they are, and getting just a little picture into their lives. So that's why food's awesome to me, because I know that there's a person behind that, not only the person who bought it, but the person who made that food, that I just really have such a huge thankfulness for, that here in America, we have such access to food that I am deeply grateful for, because I've been to places where there wasn't that much of food access. It was very limited. So I just have a deep gratitude towards food. And it's not like I want to hoard food, but it's like, that's where the magic is for me, because so much went into all of that.
I think a lot of it, yeah. Absolutely. And I think a lot of that comes back to the intention that people had when they were putting that together. We were actually talking about that at the end of the open house, when it was just like the fam, like all the ladies and their husbands. And 2 of our team members' husbands are chefs. And it was really, really cool talking to everyone about like the emotion that you feel when you are cooking. We all believe transfers into the food. And I think you can tell when someone doesn't care, or they're having a bad day, and then they get that frustration and anger out into the food. It's just not as good, you know? Mm-hmm. So with Nessa being such a foodie, it's been really cool for me to be around other people who are foodies as well, and to understand the thought process behind it. And it makes me want to put more love and intention whenever I make food for Ben and I. So I think that I'm cooking way better just hanging out with foodies. I mean, Nessa's had my salmon, and I feel like I freaking rock a good salmon.
If your salmon can be tender and juicy when I eat it, so good. I don't want to know. Like, here's what I know. If you have overcooked your food, you had a shitty day. You had a shitty day because you weren't able to be present when you were cooking your food.
Or you were having fun doing something else when you should have been cooking.
There's that. You weren't paying attention.
Well, I mean, I meant it in a very positive way. And the ladies who catch my drift.
Yeah. So, okay,
That's
are you
my
ready to
first.
do a Q&A now? Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay, you're first up. And then you can ask me the same question or a different one.
Oh, I have a good one.
Okay, hold on to it, or even you can write it down on your phone.
I thought you said I was first.
No. Oh, I
Oh,
meant
you're
like,
asking me first.
yes, that's
Okay.
it.
Well, I have it. I'm not going to lose it. I have it.
Okay. Also, I will just say that we have a shared note with some questions that you're welcome to view in your phone. It will not bother me.
Okay. What folder is it under? Is it under the podcast folder?
Yeah, I think so.
Did you just make this?
Yes.
Guys, this is how we communicate. Shared.
All right. It's under coaching. Don't know why it got put there. I'll move it to podcasting.
Okay, I see it.
Done.
Okay, I'm gonna keep looking for it, but you go on with your question that you had.
Yes. So this is my question. Well, what we want is for you to be able to just honestly get to know us just a little bit more, and like who we are from before some of this stuff. So my question for Kim includes visiting our childhood just a little bit. And then I will probably make a comment on it. So I just want to preface with that. Because Kim, when she was a child, she was really cool, but there were things that I see now where I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense now. And we'll come back to that, where it's like, no, I'm not picking on her or making her the black sheep. It's like there were some things in her life where I was like, oh, that all makes sense now. Okay, my question for you is, what was your favorite color as a kid? Whatever age range that is for you.
So for me, my favorite color growing up was purple, probably until I was high school. Easily. Before I even hit elementary, my walls were purple with Cinderella wallpaper. I would say that my favorite Disney princess was probably Pocahontas, not Cinderella, but I'm pretty sure mom picked Cinderella for me. And then eventually I transitioned into like purple cheetah print. So that was a solid thing for a while.
Please describe to us your bedroom with the beds.
Oh, well, I don't remember how old I was when dad made me my loft bed, but I had a handmade loft bed that was probably too tall for a child. I had to use an actual ladder, like a A-frame ladder. And like we would climb on that thing. We treated it like the monkey bars. We would hang upside down on it. We turned it into our Barbie house, and we would have like different levels of the house. But it was just the loft. You could literally stand underneath this thing. I maybe had 2.5 feet of clearance from the ceiling on the top of that loft. Whereas most kids can like stand on that bed. No, it was very tall. And then I had a cubby hole up there for all my little secret treasures, AKA pickles. No joke.
They were pickles.
Yeah. So, and then for a while I had the loft bed with the full bed underneath. I had a desk under there, different phases, different things. But I very distinctly remember the ladder being the Barbie house. And it was like Barbie's luxury apartment. There were like 6 levels to that bitch's apartment. And she lucked out.
She was bougie.
She was real bougie.
Yeah. We did play Barbies. We loved Barbies. Kim had like a massive bucket of Barbies, which we all donated to our little sister.
Well, you were more of a baby doll person growing up, and I was more the Barbie person.
Yeah.
But we would still go back and forth. But we normally did what I wanted, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. That's okay though.
Yeah.
So tell me.
We're really good at communication and inclusion now.
Yes. So what would you say your favorite color is now?
Black. I want everything in black. I like neutrals. So I have not done my colors. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. I've not been draped, but I'm 100% sure I'm an autumn. I mean, I'm a redhead, and I'm very fair for those of you who can't see me, or, you know, you haven't seen the podcast cover or whatever. If you let me describe. So I was born strawberry blonde, and I've done some dimensional blonding within the last couple of years. So I have my natural with some blonde throughout my ends, but I'm very, very fair. It's very hard to find foundation. Everything looks yellow on me, and I have pink undertones, but I also have some neutral undertones. So yeah, it can be hard to color match. However, I look fucking bomb in autumn colors. So like coppers, forest greens, mustard, things like that. I love plum as well, in modesty, like not a ton of it. I'm not going to wear a freaking plum dress or something, but I may accent with something like, I think I have some mauve Rothy's, but I have gotten to the point where, and I think I talked about my capsule closet on a previous episode, didn't I? So everything is very neutral, but I would say 75% of my closet is black. I'm not going to paint my house black unless Ben lets me, but he won't let me. So I don't have like as much black as I would like. However, I'm not a fan of the sun. So I really like how dark tones like kind of absorb the light. So I love the dark. I would live in a cave if I could. Like I would literally live in a hobbit hole that only had windows at the front of the house. Legit. So black is it for me. And I have some tans, a couple of tan options, but really majority is black. And if I'm clothes shopping or even furniture for the house or for the salon, I automatically go to black, and I have to be like, okay, is that too much? Do I need to like reel it in? But is there a black option though? So literally everything. And I think a lot of it has to do with like my entire life, I've hated pink. I know that sounds really shitty, but it just felt like too soft of a color for me. If I had to pick a feminine color, it would be red or burgundy. Burgundy's a fall red, which I love and I can do in moderation. But I just don't like, black is very strong. It's very sure of itself. It is a force to be reckoned with. It is polished and pristine, and it goes with everything. Like it will match anything, but also it can stand on its own 2 feet and it doesn't need anything else. So I think that is kind of the psychology behind why I chose black. Nessa, what is your past and present favorite colors?
My favorite color as a kid was definitely like bright orange. I distinctly remember in like 5th and 6th grade, this one specific orange jacket that I got from American Eagle that I thought was like my world. I would wear that thing every single day.
You did though.
Yeah. I loved it so much. And it wasn't because I was trying to hide. It was because I loved that color on me so much. And also because classes were cold. Like the majority of the time we're freezing. Yeah, I loved also like those neon colors. I remember one of my favorite bed covers as a kid. So like comforter and the sheets. The sheets were like, I don't even know that design. It was like a really swirly, elegant design. It was like orange and pink.
It was paisley.
Paisley. Yeah. And then the comforter was like almost like silk. It wasn't actually silk, but satin. Yeah. It was like super slippery. And it was like bright pink, like almost hot pink, and like some lime green and orange, was like some brown in there. Hated the brown, but loved all the other colors.
I feel like you were EDM before you even knew that you were EDM. Do you know what EDM is, Nessa?
Are you talking about music?
Yeah, EDM is electric dance music, which I know that you do like. I don't think you go like out of your way to listen to it, but I feel like you would love an EDM concert. Like you would just have the time.
Yeah.
But you were into those colors at a very young age.
I was. When I was a little girl, my mom painted my room blue for Blue's Clues. Apparently, I was such a huge fan of Blue's Clues. Like, I don't even remember. Like, I even had the dog.
Face, when you just said that, your face was like, she painted my room blue. Like, just greater. So that obviously did not light you up just by the look on your face just now.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you didn't really have much input on that.
I think she just decided, because the thought process back then was like, I'm the mom and I make decisions for you and you don't get to be involved in that.
Okay, well, that's more shadow work that we're not going to go into right now.
Yeah. So moving right along, I would say that, also, here's another thing that Kim and I were talking about. My favorite color wasn't pink, but I really, really tried to like pink. I tried really hard to like pink. I tried to get all the outfits, probably some shoes, some belts. Even one time Kim dyed my hair orange and red because we loved Paramore so much. So orange was definitely
that is not a past tense statement. That is a current tense statement.
Yes, and still love Paramore and Hayley Williams. Hayley
Okay.
Williams, right? Okay.
Yes. Good job. Snaps for Nessa.
Yes. So the funny thing is that around 7th grade, I got the opportunity to have my own email. Why did I need my own email address? I don't remember.
Please do not say your email address on the podcast.
I will not.
What it contains, but don't say the actual thing, please.
I will not.
Because it's still a valid email address.
It is. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I still have that email address, and I'm not going to tell you why I have it. So in my email address, well, here it is. I will only give my email address to people I will not pay attention to those subscriptions. So like
junk mail, things.
Yeah, like when I check out at a store and they want my email address, I'll give them that one. The one I don't care about, and then maybe every once in a while I'll check it. So that's the only reason why I have it now. It's just for junk. And then if I want the discounts, I'll go look for them. No big deal.
Okay, so quick question.
Hold on, let me say the word that's in my email address.
Okay.
It's pink. It's pink. We hate that color now. Like, if it's on you, it's not going to be like, oh my gosh, I hate that color on you. It's like, I'm so happy that color is for you. It is not for me. You were going to say.
How many email addresses do you have? Can you count them?
Over 5.
And you have, so she's an Enneagram 1, guys. So her brain is a spreadsheet. You have something very specific for each of these emails, right?
Yes.
Can you please explain your thought process behind your 5 email addresses?
So one's for junk. Obviously, we went over that. One is for personal, the information I do want to find. Another one is a business one where I started my coaching program. I created that one. Now it's just between a me and Kim communication, basically. And then the 4th one is my actual coaching email address. The other one is for the podcast. And I said over 5. It's over 5. And then the other one is for our salon that I am a part of, team member of, and then a school one that I know, guys, it's like 8 now. That's 8. Yeah. So that I mean, with school, you have so many because when you sign up with these colleges, you have to have your own email address. And at those times in my life, like, information was put into those, and there's a couple that like I just don't even pay attention to now. So yeah, we should probably maybe get rid of the school one.
I feel like those of us who struggle with organization skills can learn a lot from you, Nessa, because my personal email address, which I've had for almost 10 years, is almost maxed out on storage. And I think that if I would have, I didn't even know it was possible to max out on Gmail storage, but I'm almost there.
Wow.
So I obviously have a lot of things I need to unsubscribe from, but I think that if I took your advice and broke it down into like multiple, like important personal and then junk personal, even if I created another email address for like to sift that through, because I'm not going to sit there and go through all my emails. You know, my inbox is probably at 12,000 on my personal, my business. And I'm not going to talk about that one. I at least look at them and check them, but my personal, it's hardly ever. I miss things all the time. And there's still some business stuff that goes to that one. And yeah, it's a lot. So maybe Nessa should give us organization lessons, guys. I feel like that would really help.
We can do that sometime. And I can throw out suggestions and you can just take what you want. Maybe we can do like a questionnaire of like, what do people need help organizing? And then we can go from there, because general like organizational ideas could be helpful. However, I would prefer, like, if you ask me a question, I would definitely be willing to throw out some ideas and then you run with it, and then I'm good. So maybe we can come back to that.
It will probably involve color coordination.
Probably. But
and an ombre.
Yes, but to come back to our question about favorite color, coming back, my favorite color now, like, it's black. For all the same reasons that Kim mentioned, and not because we're sisters and not because I'm wanting to be like her, but like literally also our hair color is pretty similar. My skin as well. We have those pink red undertones and like we're really fair. Basically same thing. And then also I wanted to mention, like, on the color wheel and also involving light in the color of black, black is all the colors in that. White is the absence of all the colors. So technically, I'm wearing the rainbow and I'm cool with that.
You are so cute.
It's true though.
That is color theory, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I don't know if you guys could tell by what she said, but she said, I'm not liking black just because Kim likes it and I want to be like Kim. If that is not middle child syndrome speaking, I don't know what is.
I mean, for the longest time, people always thought that I was trying to be like you and be in your shoes. And for a while, maybe I was, because I had to try on somebody's idea of an outfit. Because we did do the skinny jean thing. We did the skinny jean thing.
I know what you're talking about. I still rock my skinny jeans.
You do. I am more of like a Levi girl now.
Don't stop.
It's called a wedgie fit. That's the name of the jean, a wedgie fit jean.
Is that what you wear?
It has a little bit of a flared leg. It's like a straight leg, but it feels flared to me because I'm used to wearing skinny jeans for like my entire life.
She's rocking Levi's now. So that's what she's at. When I was in high school, I had all the colors of the rainbow from PacSun in my skinny jeans.
She did.
Literally.
She did.
I don't know how we got off on this topic, Nessa.
Well, we were talking about color because of emails. So
color. We could talk about color all day, especially with my hair background and Nessa's art background. We do get into color conversations, and there are a lot.
Oh yeah. So would you like to ask me a question?
Yes. Okay. So my question for you is, what goddess jewelry from 𝗙𝗶𝗿 do you have, and why do you have those pieces?
Okay, good question. Speaking of which, my ring is in my pocket. I always put it in my pocket and I forget because I was like, oh, it's not on my finger, and I literally had a mini freak out. So I have Athena. I don't know if you can tell on YouTube. This is there she is. This is Athena. I purchased my jewelry right after I think I graduated, or somewhere in that time. Oh, it was before, and then it came later. So I wasn't able to wear it crossing the stage, but that's okay. We've moved on. So I have Athena as a reminder to me of the inner warrior that I am and the inner desire I have within me to create a path for myself, to, because our parents had this understanding that you had to have a partner in order to support you. And that belief no longer works. So for me, it's a reminder that I am creating my own path and I can 100% financially support myself, and that I don't have to wait for a partner to then do life. Like, I can live my life now, and then when that partner is ready to grow together, then that's when it will happen. But until then, I am going to be my own best friend. I'm going to love me where I am, and I'm going to allow myself to participate in my own decision making. So that is the why I have 𝗙𝗵. And then I have 𝗛𝗐. This is 𝗛𝗐. It's kind of hard to tell. So
her 𝗙𝗵 is a ring, which she got to replace a class ring because she did not want a class ring. She wanted something that represented her, not the school. So her 𝗙𝗵 is a ring that is in place of her class ring, and 𝗛𝗐 is a pendant necklace that she wears.
Yes, thank you for saying that, because on the podcast you can't see me in all I'm doing. So I have to keep reminding myself that most people are not seeing me use all my hands and show and tell my jewelry. So anyway, who's this? 𝗛𝗐. We're talking about 𝗛𝗐. We're talking about 𝗛𝗐. She is a reminder to me of the shedding I will go through. So as we started this podcast, I had mentioned that just the other day, I was going through a shedding, a releasing of beliefs that no longer serve me. And that is 𝗛𝗐. She's a reminder to me that those things are part of life, just as snakes go through sheddings, through different seasons, from like winter to summer and whatever those other ones are. I don't really pay attention to the life cycle of snakes. I only remember what I needed to remember in order to serve me and remind me of personal growth. Other than that, snakes freak me out. I love you, snake people, but yes.
I think a lot of it has to do with as they grow.
Yes.
They get to a certain point where they cannot sustain that skin any longer, and they have to shed that old skin in order to continue growing, because that skin becomes constrictive, which I think is a beautiful reminder of the process of growth. And it's not just once a year from winter to summer. There's a lot more shedding that happens, which in our personal journeys is so relevant. And I have tiny little 𝗛𝗐. I have little snake earrings that I got from Nina Barrento in Austin. You can kind of see them on YouTube. And they're just little studs, because Nessa got her 𝗛𝗐 and I did not want to copycat her because it's not very good for a middle child. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter if I copy you. Like, we go back and forth with shit all the time. But for me, I did not want 𝗛𝗐 as a necklace, but I did want a small reminder to myself of shedding. But I love, and your 𝗛𝗐 pendant is so gorgeous. Awe Inspired does such a beautiful job with designing these pieces. They really, really do. I feel like we should link them in the show notes for this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And guys, we don't have any affiliate codes or anything like that. We just absolutely love them. Okay, Nessa, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Do you have more to say about 𝗛𝗐?
I think that was it. Like, you helped fill that in greatly. Of that the snakes do go through a shedding. There's probably some like resistance there towards snakes in my brain because I recently had a bad dream. And so like, yeah, I had a bad dream that there were two cobras going after the dogs. And so I just like had like a mini freak out. And sometimes those emotional feelings can sometimes remain even from dreams. And so that's just one little thing. It's like, okay, we need to release that and we're going to come back to that. So it was just like a little mental block, and that's okay. Those happen. So yeah, those would be my reasons why I have 𝗙𝗵 and 𝗛𝗐. I haven't necessarily looked towards getting more jewelry. We'll see when that time comes. But before I got my jewelry, though, I'll mention this. I was originally wearing silver jewelry. Silver used to be like my favorite kind of color of jewelry to wear, and during my last semester of college, that's when I decided I wanted gold jewelry. So now I have all gold jewelry, and even my earrings, they are coated in, I don't know what carat of gold, because I went in there, I was like, oh, I love those. And then she told me the price, it was for one. I was like, oh, okay, I guess we are upgrading our level of jewelry today, Nessa. Let's do this. And so now we have all gold jewelry, coated in gold too. And it's just a reminder also to myself that I am worthy and deserving of everything I want.
Fuck yes, you are. So Nessa got those earrings during our trip after her graduation. So while she was in school, we would do a sister trip after every semester that she completed to like keep her motivated and celebrate her for that semester. And our last one was after her graduation in December. And we went into the jewelry store. So we went to the Domain and hung out there. We stayed at the Archer. We went to 𝗙𝗶𝗿 around the corner, and we got her earrings at Studs. And Nessa has gauges for those of you who cannot see her right now. Nessa has, are you at a 0?
Yeah, I gauged them at 17 to a 0 and kept them at a 0. I had no desire to gauge them anymore.
Yeah. So if you are familiar with gauges, you know, like she can't wear traditional, I think they're called French hook earrings, because they will fall out. So she has to make sure that whatever earrings she's putting through her gauges, that they'll stay in. So once she found gold ones that she loved and that had the clasp at the back where she could actually secure it without having to work, because she was wearing the French hooks underneath her gauges to like hold them in, but that can get painful. It doesn't feel very good. So it was so cool seeing her like look at the price point, which was like $70, and she was like, oh, for the set, I mean, it's real gold, that's okay, but they sell everything individually because they're a piercing studio, so everything is singles. And she was like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're doing that. And she wears them every single day. She rocks the shit out of them. And I think they just make you glow even more than you already do, Nessa. So I'm proud of you for doing that for yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So tell us about yours. Which ones do you have?
So I have two. Sorry, guys, I just kicked my stool and made the video really shaky. My bad. So I have two pieces, and the first piece that I purchased for myself was last year for my 30th birthday. And I purchased Aphrodite because Aphrodite reminds me of my highest self. And and Aphrodite stands for love and beauty. And those are the two things that I want to emulate and then bring to the world. So I want to radiate in my own love and self-love and let that pour out into the women around me. And I create beauty with what I do. And I have to own that in myself and be, the way, if you've seen that traditional Aphrodite painting, and I don't know who it's by, so don't come at me, but it's where she's in the conch shell coming towards the shore, and she's just like standing there with her big, beautiful hair just flowing and her arms open, and she just is radiating surety and standing in her truth and standing in her power. And it's just such a beautiful reminder to me, like when I think of my highest self and being led by my highest self, that is the mental picture that I have of me, is that Aphrodite image. Plus, anytime I see a redhead in artwork, it just feels more personal to me. So with Aphrodite having that red hair and it's curly, that really resonates for me personally, along with what she represents spiritually. So that is why my first piece was Aphrodite. And if y'all don't know, if you haven't been creeping on my Instagram very long, for my 30th birthday, I gave myself the gift of my very first boudoir shoot. And it was so empowering to do that for myself. And if you have not, shoot me a DM and I will send you my photographer's profile. Because there's no telling, her Instagram gets shut down all the time because people report her photos, and I'm not on any of her public stuff. I shared a couple of my photos on my feed, but I'm not on her feed, so it would be kind of hard to spot her. But it's Victoria Caroline in Austin, Texas, and she is fucking phenomenal. I love her so much. And it was transformative for me to do that for myself last year, but I had purchased that piece for myself for my birthday and got it in time to use it and wear it during the photo shoot. So it just really, really helped me embody that empowerment and that self-love and radiating that piece of myself. So that was my first piece. And then after Kim turned 30, she hit a massive spike of growth along with the side dish that eventually became the main course of shadow work. So it didn't feel the same going through a ton of shadow work wearing Aphrodite when it's like, it felt like an internal struggle between being led by my highest self, but I still have a bunch of shit I need to deal with. So for months and months at the end of last year, I just felt not, well, I guess I will say imposter, because we've talked about imposter syndrome. We've talked about what it feels like to not be living in that truth and to feel that sense of not enoughness. And I went through a big time period of not enough, and I still get hit with waves of it. I will continue to for the rest of my life, because as you grow, every time you level up, you get hit with that. And over the last year, I've had to make peace with that. So for me, I wanted to own a piece from 𝗙_𝗶𝗿 that represented that side of me and that shadow work side of me. And I wanted a goddess of the dark that could walk me through like a visual representation of that work and loving myself regardless of what phase I'm in, whether I am in my highest self phase or if I'm in the midst of shadow work, or the two at the same time, in a blend of the two, because that's how it is. I vacillate between both. So for me, the goddess that spoke to me for my shadow work, and it's just a representation of myself. So like, it's not something like I'm not praying to these goddesses or worshiping these goddesses. For me, it's just a visual representation of my own inner work and the what I'm wanting to embody during that phase of my life. That's what the pieces mean for me. Obviously, if that's what you do, we are totally cool with that. Everyone's belief is welcome here, and we think it's beautiful. Personally, it's more so a visual representation of what is going on internally. So I had a little download in fall, winter timeframe. I was looking for like I need a shadow work goddess because I don't feel like I'm being honest wearing Aphrodite when I'm not feeling very Aphrodite right now. I'm feeling very like internal, kind of icky, but wanting to own that ick, if that makes sense. So I researched the goddesses that 𝗙_𝗶𝗿 had, and I researched on Pinterest. I was like looking up shadow work goddesses or goddess of the dark, different things like that. And I looked through many, many, many of them. And the one that spoke to me the most was Lilith. And for those of you who don't know who Lilith is, and this is going to be a little controversial, but I'm going to talk about it anyways. So Lilith was Adam's first wife. She is mentioned in the Torah. And so we were raised Assembly of God. We were raised traditional Christian faith. So just the act of me wearing Lilith is a big fucking deal. It's kind of like owning the part of you that people just want to shove under the rug and that people want to dismiss and not accept, which a big part of my life was like, oh, we're not going to talk about that thing that you went through. We're not going to talk about those things. We're just going to push them to the side and keep moving forward, and best of luck to you. But Lilith speaks to me on a personal level because of her embracing the darkness and embracing being shunned and shut out. of what should have been hers. So this shadow work goddess for me, and on the pendant itself, she has two snakes in front of her. So if you want to look at this particular piece, you can see it on 𝗙𝗡inspired's website, and it is the rectangle one, because I think there's a tarot Lilith and a traditional Lilith. So it's the one that has the wings and then the snake here and a snake here. If you're on YouTube, you can kind of see it. I guess I should get a little bit closer. Sorry, guys. I don't know if you can see that. Is that a good angle, Nessa?
Yeah, that's gorgeous. That's perfect.
Oh.
Thank you for showing us.
Yes. So for me, it's about owning the darkness, becoming one with the darkness. And I am still worthy. I am still more than enough, whether I am feeling Aphrodite or whether I'm feeling Lilith. Whatever version of me I'm in is enough, and it's worthy, and it's okay. So when I'm going through a hard time, wearing Lilith helps me remember that I am still worthy of what I'm working towards. Even if I don't feel like I'm showing up as my highest self, I'm still a fucking goddess. So that's what Lilith means for me.
That's beautiful. And I love how we've been learning from Brene Brown, and from her show on HBO has been so impeccable, and I will more than likely watch them over again. I have finished them and they were good. But the point of all of that was to help us find language to the emotions and things that are going on inside of us. And so exactly with our jewelry has been a way to put language, a physical, tangible thing that I can feel, give reference to, and it helps us have that language of like, this is what I feel like this season of life is for me right now. Yes, it may have been somebody in the past, and it may even be a mystical character, and it may even be somebody you don't even think was real, or it may even be somebody that's against your quote unquote religion or whatever you may believe. But all of that is a welcome here. And that's part of healing our industry. We're coming together to be open-minded, to learn new things, and to grow together. And so I just love that beautiful way that Kim has now language to put towards her seasons of life and what she goes through, because for the longest time, she just couldn't. It was like, when you have ideas sometimes and you just need to write it down on a sticky note and then you find a way to put a sentence to it, that's kind of how these necklaces are for us. It's like, I have the language now. I have that something I can connect to that understands what I'm going through. And I love Venus and Lilith. They're beautiful. And what's so cool and what's so interesting is in art class and learning all the art shit I learned, I remember talking about Venus, but I never remember seeing anything about Lilith. So that's just so interesting to me. And I think your process and your growth has just been so beautiful to watch. And I love that you have those. Was there anything else you wanted to mention in that?
No, that's it. I think it's really cool whenever you're on the 𝗙𝗡inspired site searching for a goddess. It's really interesting how the one that is for you just kind of pops out. And it's kind of like she wraps herself around your heart and you're like, okay, this is the one. And when you know, you know. So if you haven't searched through 𝗙𝗡inspired site, I highly suggest it. And I love that a lot of these are just archetypes. So it's more so embodying the vibe, not so much the totem in and of itself. There's some beautiful, beautiful pieces. So yeah, I highly suggest just researching that. They have earrings, necklaces, rings, some beautiful, beautiful stuff. So yeah, that is our pieces and why we have those pieces.
Yeah. So can we do one last question before we wrap up?
Yeah, go for it.
Can we come back to the topic of coffee? Because there was a previous episode where we just kind of skipped over the part where I was like, this is how I do my coffee. And now I feel like I don't have a word for it. So how do we take our coffees? I will start.
Hold on.
Okay, preface.
There are categories. There's home coffee. Oh, I just grabbed my hair with that one. There's home coffee and there's coffee shop coffee. But there's also different types of coffee shop coffee depending on the coffee shop.
Okay.
So
That's the whole of the level.
Yes, let's just do home. And then we'll talk coffee shop.
Okay. My home coffee is, we have already talked about, it's Nespresso's for both of us. So I have an older machine that is no longer sold. Do you remember the name of it?
You have an original machine, like the original line.
Yes.
I do believe they still make your machine. So it's the smaller one that has the frother on a sidekick, right?
They don't, or they've made a newer version of it, because I tried looking it up and it's nowhere to be found on the website.
My big one is at the salon, right?
Yes.
Okay, because they don't make that one anymore for sure. I want to say they might make yours, but they may have renamed it.
They might have, but I haven't found it. Anyway, so I think I'm making a cappuccino, but according to our previous conversation, it's not. So is that a lungo that I do? That second button? It's a lungo.
Yes.
So if you've seen my Instagram stories, after we got back from London, I got myself this really pretty black and white cup. It just says Paul on it. It was a coffee shop that we went to when we were there, and they had delicious, oh my God, really good desserts. And their coffee was really good too. I don't remember what I got. Anyway, that's not the point. So I purchased a cup and saucer from them, and it's probably like an 8-ounce cup, and it's super cute, fits me perfectly. And so what I do is I'll fill that cup probably 3/4 of the way with my well, it's espresso, it's a lungo, so that means that the water passes through the pod twice as much as an espresso, right?
So you are supposed to use lungo pods with the lungo button. So on the original line, it doesn't have the barcodes that just automatically do it for you. You literally have to like read the pod and what it says and then press the correlating button. So Nessa is doing espresso pods with the lungo button. So she is doing like twice as much liquid in that. So she's probably making bitter shots, but don't tell her that.
They're not bitter to me.
I
didn't know that you were supposed to press a certain button depending on the pod.
Yes.
I didn't know. So thanks. Now we know. And then after that, I do some froth. So then it's probably like 1/4 of amount of froth on top. So what category of coffee is that in?
So I pulled up the breakdown of cappuccino versus latte, and I'm going to read that for everyone because this is very important. And if you guys don't know this, you need to know this. Okay. And then I will also talk about non-dairy milk and how that translates. So a traditional, and this is from coffeebean.com. A traditional cappuccino has an even distribution of 3 parts: espresso, steamed milk, and foamed milk. So it's the 3 layers of the cappuccino: espresso, the milk, and then the froth on the top, equal thirds. A latte has more steamed milk, which is the center layer, and a lighter layer of foam with the same amount of espresso, cappuccino versus latte. A cappuccino is distinctly layered, all 3 levels, while in a latte, the espresso and steamed milk are mixed together. So then you just have a light layer of foam on top. So you could essentially make a cappuccino, but then when you stir it with a spoon, it turns into a latte, depending on how much milk you used. So I want to talk about how non-dairy milk, which we use almond milk, Nessa loves oat milk, anything that's not dairy, isn't going to froth as well as dairy milk. So if you, like, whenever we go to Europe, they're always like, if I order a cappuccino, it is not possible. Because, you know, the people that work at Pret are French, usually always French. So they're like, it is not possible. What you ask for does not exist. And I'm like, I know it's going to turn into a latte, please just make it as a cappuccino because I just don't want that much milk. So they're like, okay, as long as you know. So I just want to clarify that if you're using non-dairy milk, you're probably making a latte instead of a cappuccino, unless you have a freaking awesome frother that can give you the proper ratio. Does that clarify?
Yes. So I basically think I was having a cappuccino, but it's a latte because I mixed it up. So it's a latte.
It's okay. The latte information and everything is fine.
It is. Well, thank you for that. I feel like I just went to the school of espresso and I left more knowledgeable.
Yes. So Nessa really prefers lighter blends. She doesn't like medium to dark roast. She prefers all light roast. So in the original line with Nespresso, that is the 𝗙𝗶𝗿 pod that she typically uses. For me, I don't want to cut you off. Are you good? Or do you want me to talk about my Nespresso?
And Vertuo. Those are mine. 𝗙𝗶𝗿, Vertuo. I think it's Vertuo. Voluto. Sorry, it's Voluto. Yes. And then Voluto decaf. We have the lighter blends because we have struggled with acid reflux. So we want to keep that to a minimum, and that's why we do the lighter ones. Please continue.
Yes, so Nessa goes with lighter blends, and when she says we, she means herself. She's not talking about me. I don't have acid reflux, just to clarify, but
so sorry.
We say we a lot because it is much kinder to say we than like you, because it feels very like finger pointy when you say you, or I. So we usually speak in we. So I just wanted to state that. So for me, I just bought myself a Vertuo machine on Black Friday. So I have the disc with the barcode machine. And I love darker blends. I forget the name, but I love the dark green and the dark like royal blue. Those jewel tone ones that are really dark. I love those. Every once in a while, once I've had a couple shots and I feel like I need more, I will do a decaf coffee, which is like an army green with the orange, neon orange ring around it. I forget the name, but I know my colors. So that's kind of what I go to. And I just have a very specific amount of milk I froth for every cup. Sometimes I do 1 shot with the milk. Sometimes I do 2 shots. I'm normally always adding vital proteins to my coffee and like using my little milk frother wand with that in the milk before I add the shot, because I like to sneak protein in wherever I can, which we've talked about before already on the pod. So that is my home routine. I normally do 2 shots in the morning. I try to at least get in 2 so that I'm not a zombie. But sometimes, and we're getting into, it's already 106 in Texas, guys. And you're listening to this a month after we record it. So it's probably 110 right now at the end of May, early June, when this one's probably going to launch. So we had our first, I want to say this last weekend, Mother's Day weekend, or was it the weekend before that we were hitting 100?
The weekend before that, but like we already had it hit the hundreds before Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah. End of April, we were already hitting hundreds. So it is disgusting. And I was telling Nessa the other day on Instagram, we were doing a live for the open house. And I was like, why do we torture ourselves by still living here? But we're not going to get into that because that's a whole women's rights thing, you know? So we're not going to go there. But back to coffee. So whenever it comes to coffee shop, I am going to say it because I know they don't care. Starbucks fucking over roasts their beans. They burn their beans and it drives me insane. So if I'm going to go to Starbucks, I specify blonde roast espresso because their traditional, like their original blend, I can't. It's burnt. Once you've had Nespresso or other local coffee shops, it's like something's not right. But that's how they have consistency across the board, is they just burn it all. So if I'm drinking something from Starbucks, it is always going to be blonde roast. But if I'm at a local coffee shop, I'll just get their regular, because usually local coffee shops are working with small batch vendors. So they do have more control over that. So that's my thought process behind ordering from a big national chain like that. And I know I said we don't name names, but Starbucks, get your shit together, okay? Thank you for all that you do for human rights. Thank you for your inclusive culture. Please stop burning your beans. That is the one thing I have to say that I will stand on.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. So our favorite local coffee shop, which I will shout them out because they're fucking awesome. We love Buttercup in San Angelo. That is our absolute favorite local coffee shop. They have the best culture, in my opinion, of all the local coffee shops, and they have the best food and the best coffee. In my personal opinion, I use the Toast app to order for my clients before I go into the salon, and then I just pull up, take my order, head into the salon, and they're amazing. So I'm the kind of person, like, I have to have a hot coffee in the morning. Like, I have to have a latte, a hot latte before I have an iced coffee. I can't start my day with iced coffee. That's just me. So if I'm traveling, I will order a hot and an iced together so that I can drink my hot latte first and then ease into my iced cappuccino or whatever I'm drinking. So Nessa's favorite iced drink at Starbucks is Nessa Say It, because I'm gonna fuck it up.
The brown sugar shaken oat milk espresso drink.
I believe you're supposed to say iced first.
Fuck that shit. That's how it was originally called until they changed it and just called it a shaken espresso because everybody couldn't say the name.
Because we're not Nessa and we do not have our shit together.
Sucks to be you.
It really does. My life is a tongue twister. So I love that as well. But whenever I order that drink, I will do half of the syrup because Starbucks uses a ton of syrup, in my opinion. I love that with Buttercup, I can customize how many shots I want of their, like how many pumps of syrup I want. Whereas Starbucks, like in a venti, I think you're getting 6 to 8 pumps of syrup, which is a lot. I know. So Buttercup has an amaretto. I'm obsessed with amaretto. They're one of the only ones local that has amaretto. You can get it from Monin, which is my personal favorite supplier of coffee syrups, and you can order directly from them as a consumer. So I highly suggest Monin. That's what I use at home for syrups, and they do have some really great stevia blends as well if you're trying to do no sugar. So I highly suggest Monin.
Actually, you no longer have those syrups at your house. You have them at the salon. That's what we use at the salon.
So I'm using 𝗙𝗶𝗿 at home, and the salon has all of my Monin. That's that. So is there anything else we want to touch on for coffee?
I think honestly, you took us all to the college of coffee because some of this stuff is not known by everyone and we don't all do our research like you do. So honestly, thank you for that. The part about how local coffee shops, the suppliers are usually smaller. So that was super helpful in understanding why Starbucks coffee is a lot darker, like the regular roast they just use without request. That makes sense now. So I think that we have just about covered all the Q&As. Yes.
So I do want to say, for those of you who do what I do and get your clients coffee, I haven't actually memorized the number, but I know it's somewhere between $3,000 to $5,000 at Starbucks last year on coffee for my clients. I highly suggest you do what I did and switch to supporting a local coffee shop instead of a big chain, because that amount of money doesn't mean that much to a big corporation, but it means a lot to a small business, and you're supporting a really good cause when you invest in local businesses. So I highly suggest making sure that you are supporting local. And my excuse for the longest time was like, oh, most of my clients are counting calories and they can look up the recipe on the app before they even order with me. But a lot of these local coffee shops are doing a lot better about that. And I like to tell my clients, like, it's hair day. Calories don't count on hair day. So spoil yourself with your favorite coffee. And if you want avocado toast, go for it. Whatever you want, local lunch wise, let's get the grill. Let's get Cork and Pig. Let's get urban salt. Let's spoil the shit out of you so that you're not worried about any of that stuff. So my takeaway is always, always, always support local when you can. even if you're using like DoorDash or or Uber Eats, still support local with the choices that you make. And I don't know, it just feels so good to know that the money that I'm spending is now going to the right place instead of just fueling something like that.
Yeah. Well, I also wanted to mention really quick, if you are out of San Angelo, those titles she just said are restaurants. They're restaurants here in San Angelo, and those are our absolute favorite. Those are just our favorite restaurants. So I feel like this one was a really good one. I really enjoyed just like allowing everyone to just kind of get to know us, a little bit of our quirks and how we are and the way our coffee is. If you have any coffee suggestions or thoughts, we would love to chat with you about that.
We will talk about coffee all day, and I will also talk about your fur babies all day. Like, you will make my day if you just send me a photo of your fur baby. I don't care. It makes me so happy. And I honestly feel like a creeper going through the people that I follow, going through their stories, and I get more excited over dogs than kids. So when I see people's dogs, I'm like, oh my God. And I'm obviously obsessed with my babies. So my DMs are open to all your fur baby photos. You're welcome to send me all the cuteness.
Yes, I love that. Yes, our DMs are open. If you connected on anything or wanted to share any thoughts, or if you're like, oh, like I really wish I could share that with them, just go ahead and do it. They're open. Okay, this one was a good one.
I agree. And now,
Yeah.
like, I know we tried so hard to not talk about heavy shit, but it kind of ends up happening regardless, because we're just the kind of people that we're going to go there and we're going to talk about it, and we're not afraid to shy away from the hard shit. So we're trying to like keep things broken up to where we're not diving too deep all at once and then making it like a really heavy, because if you're binging these back to back, that's a lot to go through all of this stuff. So we're in it with you, and we're sending you all the good vibes, and we hope you have an amazing day, and we will see you next week.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.